Friends, I should have hidden your name of our mystery seven-figure guest before we jumped on, man. I'm stoked, guys, to be here with you live on a Friday. So welcome. I've got an industry legend in the house, and I'm going to introduce him in just a second. A lot of you guys already know this individual sitting right next to me on this side in our virtual studio, but I've gotten to know Andy over the past couple of years. We first met at a conference. I forget which conference it was, and have become friends in that time. But Andy, if you guys don't know Andy Slammons, aka Slamazon in our industry, sold over $5 million in his career, and is one of the, I like to refer to the OGs of our industry, because you first started selling like 5 years ago, 2013. Back in the day, I got started in 2014 and 15, so I was the generation right after you, Andy. But yeah, appreciate you being here, man. Private label is a hot topic, man. You've done it the old-fashioned way, and I've been wanting to just interview you and share some of the secrets of your story. So thanks for making time to be with us, brother.
Thanks for having me on. I love your group. My nephew Nathan and I, we actually know a few members from your group, and we always say that your group is the nicest group out of any network that we work with. So very excited to be able to share with you guys today.
Dude, that's great to hear. That's a testament to you guys watching live, and I see you in live. So if you're joining live, comment below. I'll be able to see your comments on Be Live. And those true story, guys. Andy and Nathan have both told me that as well, private, that you guys are the nicest people. I think that's a testament to the culture that we've all created together in this group. So testament to you guys. But Andy, I got to know the details, dude. I want to know it's probably been a while since you've told the early story, but there's a lot of people in this group who have been doing online arbitrage, retail arbitrage for a year, 2 years, some 3 years and beyond, and they're looking to make the jump to private label. And we just did a series on Alpha, and got to talk to Craig about how he's doing some domestic sourcing. I know you do a lot of stuff in China. But what's the high level, man? Is you guys have crossed 5 million, and you started in 2013. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So, we were just talking about it pre-show that Amazon is, I consider, such a privilege to be able to sell on it, because it's such a massive sales channel. And a lot of times, I was just sharing with Zach, I have a product that sold $1 million last year, and we're on track to sell $2 million this year. That's one product. We threw that up on Amazon, and it started selling immediately. And so you almost feel spoiled, at times. And I felt that back in 2013, same thing. Like when I first started, there was a neighbor behind my house. She was selling books, and she was going to thrift stores, buying them and then flipping them, for $100. They were textbooks. So she would always come over to me, and she would be like, Andy, you got to check Amazon out. This was like 2009, 2010. This
Gotcha.
was like pre-scanner apps. And so you had to every day she would have to download the Amazon catalog or something, in some type of machine. And then she would go to the thrift store. And so she told me that for 2 years. Now, I thought it was like a multi-level marketing, kind of deal, because it sounded too good to be true, right? And so she would always come to me, talk to me, and kind of push her off. But finally, 2 years, I said, okay, let me take a look at it. And then that's when I kind of dove in part-time, still had a full-time job. My wife and I were house parents at a boarding school for financially needy children. Okay. So I just did it as a side kind of thing to try to get my mind off of my full-time job. Well, doggone it, Amazon was so powerful. Everything I was sending in was selling. I couldn't feed the beast fast enough, to keep up with the demand. And so that first year, I think we did $120,000 in sales. Okay. And then we had to decide, we either are going to have to scale down the Amazon business, or we were going to have to make a switch, which at the time was super scary for us, because we thought we were going to retire from that position. Zach, give me 1 second here. My son has a question. What's up, AJ?
I'm just going to play some video.
Okay. So it was quiet. Sorry about that. That's the great thing about working from home.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So I homeschool our kids as well. So I'm able to have them around the house.
That's cool, man.
So I was, we had to either make a decision. Either we're going to leave, which was super scary. We had been at that position for 15 years. We thought we were going to retire from there. So we're people of faith. We prayed about it, and we felt like God was kind of directing us at the time. to go ahead and to venture out and to go on Amazon full time. So that's what we did. It was scary, but yeah, it's been a blast.
So I just want to put this in context, and I mean, there's a lot that you just said. You just tossed out that you just threw up $1 million product. I didn't want to skip over that because you just like threw that out like it's like nonchalant. I mean, your world has totally changed where that's become a reality, but I know it didn't start there. And there's a lot of people that are in our group. Let me see, where's my video at here? Let me turn this, guys. A lot of people that just want to know how to do my first one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I want to do 1, 2, 3, and people get stuck in the picking a product phase. And I know because that's the phase that Sarah and I get in our heads too much too. And you've developed an intuition, you know, you've done this in different spaces. But so just the context though, man, you started, did that 120K in sales. When did you guys finally quit your job? Had you like replaced your income with OA, or did you guys like take a leap of faith and say like, we're going to make this thing work?
So as we were praying about it, we were at, 120,000. And at the time we were praying about it, my wife actually got offered a position at the school that we had worked at. And so it was an administrative position. So that was the confirmation that we felt like, okay, let's go ahead and give this a try. So I was really able to, have her income coming in. So it was a lot less risky for me, going full time. Now it was still scary. Like I'd never run my own business before, but being able to have her kind of as the backdrop or just her steady income coming in gave me a lot more ability to take swings than if we had just kind of ventured out.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, that was definitely a huge blessing.
Okay. That's words of wisdom, man. Cause a lot of people, that's one of the questions we get asked a lot. Like, when can I quit my job? And I know it's a driver for a lot of people, not everybody. A lot of people are in our group that love their career. There's a lot of side hustles, in our industry, but a lot of people that are in a career that they don't want to be in. And that's a driving force to getting into Amazon, as they want to get free from that. And they see your lifestyle and our lifestyle and people who have done that. And that's attractive. So you guys had the stability of an income coming in. And so cash flow is king. And this is a lesson I learned in this space too. A lot of people miss this. It's not sales, it's cash flow is king in this business. You guys had that stability. Tell me about, how did you, I want to know about the early PL, man. How did you discover private label, and what was how did you start that part of the business?
Yeah. So when I transitioned from my full-time job, I had been selling on Amazon about 18 months, and my revenue at that time was about $40,000 to $50,000 a month, just overall revenue. And so right at that time too, I had launched my first private label product, and it was a very successful product. It was doing well. I had never created a listing before on Amazon. Okay. So, for 18 straight months, you always list against what's already in the catalog. Right. And again, it was a lot safer doing it that way. The creating a listing on Amazon to me seems scary. I could do it on eBay. eBay's easy, at the time. But I just thought, man, that's, you have to be like super careful how you do it. So, but I did launch my first product. It did great. So we went ahead, we moved, right? And then I'm working on my second product, right? And I'll share this little story, because this is at the end of the day, this may seem like general business type advice, right? But at the end of the day, I think there's two things when you're going into private label, and it could probably apply to any type of business. You're going to have bumps along the way. And it's going to be an extreme amount of work. I think those two things go together. And then you have to have capital. So my first product, right, is doing well. I'm still doing a lot of RA. I'm still hitting up the local discount scratch and dent grocery store. I have a picture. Maybe I'll post it in your group. I drive a Toyota Prius, and the scratch and dent grocery store was my honey hole. I actually had a really hard time giving that up, even when I went 100% PL. And I still go by there sometimes. But I have a picture in the parking lot of my Toyota Prius. I had it totally, completely full to the roof with a Crystal Light. So Crystal Light was like a huge seller for me when I was doing RA.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not sure if there's anybody in your group that sells Crystal Light, but if you come upon a good deal on Crystal Light, it's definitely an awesome flip. You can like multi-pack it. You can bundle it, like into 8 different flavors, whatever you want to do, it sells. So at the time I was doing that, and launched my first products doing well. And I thought, man, this is easy. Oh my goodness. I own the buy box 100% of the time. You know, I'm going to be a millionaire. You know, that's kind of the feeling. I felt my first one was really successful. So then I get ready. I do my second one. Talk to the manufacturer. I do I made sure that there's demand on Amazon. Super excited. I get a boat shipped, right? I actually drive my van. I pick it up at the warehouse after the boat drops it off in Philadelphia. You know, I'm driving home, get everything ready, send it into Amazon. Well, back then, you could give away products for free. Now you can give away promo codes 90% off, but back then you could give away for free, and you could also ask for reviews. Now the reviewer would have to put on the review, I received this product for free in exchange for a review. So got it into Amazon. It's all in there. Super excited, right? I set up the promo code. Now I'd set up promo codes before. This is 12 o'clock at night though. Unfortunately, yeah, so Jan says she's seen the video on the crystal light. So 12 o'clock at night, I set up the promo code, super excited. I go to bed. About 4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up with this panic feeling. Like, did I set the promo code up right? Because back then, if you didn't uncheck a little box that basically was hidden, it would display your promo code on the page, and you would lose all your inventory. So I'm like, oh man, did I check it or uncheck it? So I go to my Amazon account, right? I had 1,000 units in, $10,000 buy cost, and I look at my account and they're all gone. All 1,000 units gone. So that was not only is the cost of goods $10,000, but then you got to pay Amazon fulfillment fees on top of that. So it's like a $12,000 loss. So now remember, this is right on the heels. I just quit my full-time job. Thankfully, my wife was still working, but $12,000 was a huge loss. I was physically sick, right, for like a day. I'm not a gambler, you know, so I've never come close to losing that kind of money before. But it was just like I'd taken 12,000, flushed it down the toilet. So that was my second product. Now, the reason I share that story is I could have, like, you know, taken a hit like that. It was frustrating, and it was almost like I wanted to give up, right? And again, I go back to there's two things that. Private label is not perfect like any type of sourcing model. You're going to experience bumps, right, and bruises along the way. And that was a big one for me. But I believe in it so much, right, that I just went to work and said, you know what, I'm going to have to make that $12,000 up somehow on my next product. And so that was an early on story for me, you know, that it's probably, you know, it was a huge mistake, but I like sharing that. Because, you know, as we get into, you know, what we're going to talk about today more, I never want to sugarcoat how easy, or I never want to make it seem like private label is easy, because it's not. Even like RA, OA, if you do it right, it is a hustle, right? And you're working. Now, it's a different type, you know, like when you're doing OA and RA, you're getting marks on your hands from the cardboard boxes a lot of times, right? And you're in there like having to wait in the line at the store. So I definitely, at the end of my 18 months of doing that, I was tired of it. I'm not a shopper. So I was actually excited to be able to do it all by keyboard, you know, private label.
Yeah. Man, I got questions about this, dude. The mistake, the lessons and the mistake. I hear a little bit of an echo. Do you want to maybe turn the audio down on your end just a little bit?
Oh yeah. Let me put my headphones in.
That'll work too, man. Yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing up the mistake because it's not a straight path, and I've yet to find any business in the universe that is like a straight path to success. Amazon's no different. It's got its challenges with it. So your second product, you're out 12 grand. I'm curious on that note though. If you believe that every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent success, what was the lesson on the other side of that $12,000 mistake? What was the lesson that you learned looking back on that?
So I guess, yeah, a few things. Number one is you never want to be in a hurry when you set up a promo code on Amazon.
Set it up right. So the promo code got published live. It was supposed to be a private thing, and it went live on the listing basically, and everyone got it for free. It was a free giveaway. Thanks.
Yeah, and back then, it was actually, there was some type of way it was tied to like Koreans. And so they had some type of software that would comb Amazon, and whenever there was like a promo code that was 100% off, they would target it. And so the reason I know that is because all the customers that bought it, I could see, their name, and they were all Korean names. One guy got like 150 units.
probably Korean resellers, man. And probably it was like a original.
Yeah.
OA, so
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Man. Well, that's a blow. I'm just curious, on lessons, because it's, a lot of times it's the lessons is when we learn the most. And somebody that's watching, I hear this story. You probably heard it a million times too, man. People spent 10, 12, 15,000, 18,000 buying the wrong product. They invested in the wrong product, and it's coming from China, and it's 3-4 months and all this stuff, and then it doesn't sell. And so that's what I want to talk about, on a technical side with you, of some tips to picking products. And you've got, you guys have a whole training series that we're going to be sharing with the group over the next 2 weeks, really, on kind of some of the basics for private label. So this is a little preview of some good stuff to come. But we're now in the early days, Andy, is this all from China? Did you start coming from China? Because I remember you had a course, Alibaba to Amazon back in the day too.
Yeah, so this is all from China. What we've discovered is, for the most part, think about all the products that you and I have in our house that we buy at Walmart or we buy at Target. 95%, is manufactured in China. There's a reason for that. Back in the day, China, their quality wasn't as good. It's definitely come up now, but that's just where the manufacturing is. So they can actually do it more efficiently, and they're getting, to the point where their quality is getting better. It's still, you have to be careful. But that's just the place to go, to buy product.
Okay, so that's I know that's a big debate in our industry. Like, can you source stuff U.S. versus overseas? And that's kind of some industries you can't. There isn't manufacturing that's competitive in the U.S., unfortunately. But that adds a whole nother layer. So it's like picking the product is like the first big challenge that I see. I'd love to talk to you about. And the second one is, if you are importing from China, that's a whole nother thing, by boat, by air. So is there some, someone starting off, I know there's different types of products. You can sell inexpensive, lightweight products. You can sell bundles. You can sell, I know there's a lot of markets where it's a little bit more expensive products. There's a lot less competition because it's like bigger, bulkier type stuff. What are some tips you would recommend for a new person when picking a product? And I know this is in the free training we're going to share, but I'm just curious, since we have you live, from your years of wisdom, what are some kind of the keys that you would look for if you were starting over again today, knowing what you know, to get like an inexpensive, quick product to market, just to get that confidence,
Yeah. So, the main thing is you have to make sure that there's customer demand. So that, that's one of the main things that we teach, that you're not bringing a product that's brand new to the marketplace. You're using the Amazon catalog to basically validate that when you bring your product in, that there's Amazon shoppers who are typing in those keywords that are going to find your product. So I know that a lot about SEO. When it comes to private label, it really does come down to what keywords are you going for. Okay. And that's a big lesson that a lot of newer sellers don't understand. A lot of newer sellers are looking for products, and they're not necessarily looking for keywords, when really you should probably be looking for keywords first, and then you're going to discover your product out of that. Okay. And so, I'll give you that product that I was just talking about. It was a silicone spatula set. So that was my second private label product. And back then, I guess it was 2014. There wasn't a lot of them on Amazon at the time. Silicone was kind of the hot thing. And basically what I did is, there was only one color. Mine was like a lime green. And so on Amazon, there was only one seller of a lime green silicone spatula set. Okay. And his product was like under 2,000 rank, selling for a really good price point. So I knew that when I brought that product to Amazon, I knew that customers are typing in, and they still are, silicone spatula sets, right? Okay. That was the key word that I was targeting. And I knew that when I got mine into Amazon, it was going to be that seller that was already there with his lime green set. And then I was going to be perched, kind of right next to him. Okay. So I knew that. Here's the great thing about private label. When you do your research right, and I've experienced this on the majority of my products, I would say 95% of my products. if you do your research right, the worst case scenario is that you were going to break even or maybe lose $1 or $2 per unit.
Okay.
That's if you do your research right and make sure that there's customer demand for your product. So, just like that silicone spatula set, if for some reason I got mine into Amazon and there just happened to be, all of a sudden 10 other sellers of that same lime green silicone spatula set, like that's a bad case scenario, because then it becomes like when you're doing OA and RA, it's kind of the race to the bottom. But I knew that when my buy price was right, like if I had to cut my price down, and this is another thing that I do, I ask myself, if I have to drop my price to the rock bottom level, right, in order to blow through this inventory, what is that price going to be? And so like with those sets, I knew that, if something went wrong, I could drop it down to $15 or $14. At the time, they were selling for like $32 or $33, and I could blow through them super quick and I would be okay. And then I would move on to my next product. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you were, I just pulled up the listing while you were talking, because now there's 1 million silicone spatula sets.
So this is, now we're looking 4 years later, right?
Right. That's interesting. So this was this your second product, the one that you
yes.
had the fumble on? Okay.
The question is, what's the best selling one? What's the rank of it?
The number one seller here. Oh, this is sponsored. Why don't you guys pull it up? I'm looking here too. Let me find the first non-sponsored.
I'm looking right now.
The seller. What's the rank on it?
So I'm looking at some like right now that like there's one for $24.99. It's 837 rank, which is really good.
Okay, you're seeing higher than ramp, yeah.
So definitely though. Like this is what happens. Now the great thing is, like the sellers that were in there early and that stayed with it, they may be able to stay on that first page of search. And if they've accumulated a lot of reviews, they can kind of own the silicone spatula niche, right?
So there's an advantage to being early in the space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having a solid Amazon account with solid metrics and owning that listing. So it's like, it's virtual real estate on Amazon, just like Google. So
yeah. Okay. So my first product that I did, it's my second bestseller right now.
Really?
And that was 2014, because a lot of people often ask too is, what's the shelf life of private label products? Well, so I've had this product now for 4 years, and it's my number 2 selling product. Now I've built it out. And so, like I do color variations. I also do like a different type of material, but because I was like first to market, I have like, I don't know what it is. Like, so I have over 500 reviews on my main listings, whereas my next competitor only has 100 reviews. And so like I'm cemented right there in that number 1, number 2, and number 3 spot for those main keywords.
Okay.
And that's because I was the first to market. So there is definitely first mover advantage.
Yeah, and that's still happening now too. I think we're still just getting started with Amazon, and people ask all the time, is the market saturated? And what would you say to that question? Is the private? You were doing it 4 years ago, and you're doing it now, so you've seen this shift. How are the market conditions today versus obviously when you started was the best time, but
yeah, no, absolutely not. There are really thousands upon thousands of products and thousands upon thousands of niches, right, that are still kind of unclaimed or are very vulnerable to selling on Amazon. The product that I just told you about that I sell $1 million a year, I started selling that 2 years ago. And at the time there's still that product, there's really only 3 companies that sell. And so 2 of them are huge, like name brand companies. They sell in major box stores all over. They actually sell to Amazon, and then Amazon sells their product. And then we're the 3rd one. So we haven't had anybody try to come in, compete with us on that yet. And that's going on 2 years. So, it's really not, it's not that the markets are too saturated. It's really that we have a lack of imagination and probably a lack of effort, of really taking time to go through that Amazon catalog. Because at the end of the day, Gabe, this is what it is. You really need to chunk out 2 or 3 hours, right, at a time, and to really put out all the distractions. I say, if you drink coffee, get a pot of coffee right next to you while you're on the computer. If you drink Red Bull, do a Red Bull, whatever you got to do. And then you just sit there and you comb through the Amazon catalog, adding potential products to your wish list. Now, the frustrating part is, because we teach and we've had hundreds of people come through our course. So they'll join the course, and then 3 weeks later, they'll send me a message like, Andy, I can't find a product. How long have you been looking? Well, 3 weeks. How many times, how many hours you spend in a day? I don't know, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. It doesn't work like that, right? I mean, it takes hours. And this is where like your group is great because, and this is where, we were talking about this pre-show. If you have a little bit of knowledge about the Amazon catalog from doing RA and OA, I think it definitely helps and it positions you to have a lot better success doing PL. Because for me, the best way that I find products is not using tools. Tools are great. Tools like Jungle Scout are awesome. Tools like Viral Launch are awesome. But I still say the absolute best way is spending time combing through the Amazon catalogs and just seeing kind of products that pop out at you. But people don't have that kind of bandwidth to be able to do that and sit down. And the ones that do, I think, are the ones that are successful.
Did you guys just hear? I hope you guys are listening to that tip that Andy just dropped, because this is, I think, the difference between success and not in a lot of things is you're willing to put the time in. So that's a great tip that you just shared, Andy. And I noticed that I bought your course a couple of weeks ago and I've been going through the training. You guys have laid it out very nice. I love how you guys have laid out the course. And I picked up on this because you guys cover and review how to use Jungle Scout, how to use Viral Launch. But your number one tip that I picked up on that first, I don't know if it's module 1 or however you guys have it laid out, is just the combing strategy. So when you sit down and you're looking through Amazon, obviously a couple things are happening. Are you just going into a category and just looking through pages and pages of listening? You're training your brain on a subconscious level, like you're learning the catalog. And I think there's something to that we might not be able to explain. But what are you, now that you've developed the skill and you've honed the art of that, what are you looking for? Like, what are the things that jump out to you as an opportunity when you're coming through Amazon like this?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple different things that you can do. There's actually a search method that when you type into a search bar, it'll bring back like the top 400 results in a category. And maybe I'll post that in your group later. People can use that. Then there's also the tried and true method of you just go to like Amazon's bestseller list, like their top 100 products in every category. And then you kind of just start following the rabbit trails that way. So I was just looking the other day, and this is a product that popped out to me going through the catalogs. It was, and I'll ask you this question. You can tell me if you think you know why. So I was looking through, and a backpack caught my attention, and it was a bulletproof backpack.
Bulletproof backpack.
A bulletproof backpack. Why would that have caught my attention? And looking at that listing, going through the catalog yesterday.
Well, my hunch, a backpack sounds like that could be a more expensive product, 80 to 100 something. It's a specialized product. I've never heard of a bulletproof back. I know I can buy a JanSport for $89 probably, or one of those, but this is a specialized item.
Ask folks that are watching, why would this product have jumped out at me, do you think?
So you guys guess, since we're doing live, you guys post in the comment, why do you think a bulletproof backpack would jump out at Andy searching? I'm going to toss in, was there like, I don't know, man. I've never thought about this niche. What do you guys think, man?
Anybody have any guesses?
I don't see any brave. Kids safety.
That's getting warmer.
Getting warmer to kids safety. School shooting safety. Some current events going on in our country with guns right now. Bulletproof backpack, the shootings, high profit marketing, drug dealers, school shootings. Parents will buy them is the answer. Do we get it, Andy?
Yep. Yeah. So I was just going through and I'm looking, I'm like, oh my goodness, the rank on this is crazy. and the price is insane. Well, if you look, February 14th, I think, is when the rank dropped, and it was right after the shooting, basically.
Okay.
And so, but I discovered that just going through, again, the Amazon catalog. Now, will those be long-term? I don't know, and I haven't looked to see like how saturated the niche is, but I definitely could say that, that might have potential depending on the margin, because like somebody said in there, I think fear is a big issue, and parents will definitely spend money. So yeah, if you're on Amazon, just type in bulletproof backpack and you'll see there's a few of them that are sold out, and prior to that, like the sales weren't that great. But again, that just caught my eye going through the Amazon catalog, and obviously it's tied to current events.
Okay. So that's an interesting, that wasn't like a fancy tool. This is just from combing. This is like good old fashioned combing through and using your imagination. So you're looking for rank, you're looking for price. Are you paying attention to reviews? Do you want would you prefer to target listings that have like less reviews, or what kind of metrics do you use for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the number one way that I say newer private label sellers get wrecked, is they pick products that are too saturated. And so just like the silicone spatula sets that we were looking at, like I would never tell anybody to import into private label those now. It's just way too saturated of a market. And so you have to be aware of the saturation level, right, of the product that you're looking at. And so you can find that in a couple of ways. Number one, doing like you just did, when you put those keywords in, see how many listings come up, of silicone spatula sets. Right. Is it 1 page? Is it 2 page? Is it 10? It's probably 10 pages, of silicone spatula sets. So that's a product that you just want to run away from. The second thing is you want to look at how many reviews come up on those listings. And so, say you pick a product like maybe these bulletproof backpacks, and see what's on that first page. And I imagine on these ones, I haven't looked, I don't remember, but I imagine there's probably not a lot of reviews on because they really just started selling in February. No. So,
I'm looking right now. There's the first listing, 62 reviews, 3, 6, 291. And there's only 50, there's only 51 prime results from Bulletproof versus like 2,000 plus for silicone spatula set. So there's something about, we're talking about two totally different products though too, Andy. One's like a cheap, inexpensive little piece of rubber, and the other one's, I don't even know, some kind of Kevlar backpack thing. But okay, so you're looking, so reviews do matter. You don't want to compete with, if you see like, what's a red flag? You see like someone with 2,000 reviews, 3,000 reviews.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to really depend on what the niche is, right? But generally, like if you type in those keywords and you bring up listings on that first page where every single listing has like 500 or more reviews, that's a product that I wouldn't compete against. So kind of 500 is my number. And then it depends on how many listings have that number. So that's kind of one thing. You definitely want to keep an eye on those reviews. I tell people in an ideal scenario situation, you want to try to find products where the listings have 100 reviews or less. If you find a product like that, and maybe that first page, and here's another thing too, you can kind of look for. You can kind of find a golden opportunity when you put in, again, we're talking about keywords. When you put in that keyword, right, and on that first page, other products pop up unrelated to that keyword. Maybe you found a product like this one we're talking about, bulletproof backpacks, and you put it in there, and some products show up that are unrelated to it. That means that there's not enough products in Amazon to support that keyword. And so Amazon is, displaying other products that they think may be related to it. So that's actually could be a good potential opportunity. So, again, thinking about keywords, when you put it in there, and if on that first page other products come up, that could, maybe ring the bells like, oh, you know what, I need to look into this further because there may not be enough supply on Amazon to meet the demand. Now, obviously, again, going back to demand. So you put that keyword in there, you have to understand. You have to be able to read Keepa charts. And going back and like looking at the bulletproof backpacks, if you were to look February 1st, right, there probably wasn't enough demand. So this is, you got to be careful for what I call the false positives as well. So if you look right now at bulletproof backpacks, you would go, oh my goodness, this is an awesome opportunity if you didn't dig further, if you didn't research further. But then if you research further, you see that it's only been an awesome opportunity since, the shootings in Florida. Prior to that, there probably wasn't enough demand. Now, will that demand continue? I don't know, but that's where you got to really go back. And I say you want to look like at previous 6 months. What's been the average BSR 6 months prior to you finding that product, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So you're looking at Keepa charts. I'm just pulling this up live. We can do some videos on this for the group to show you guys here. Let me scroll down to these Keepa charts. One thing I wanted to ask you, I just pulled up Google Trends while you were talking, Andy, and let me see if I can show my screen, guys. If I can't, I'll post this in the group too. I'm still learning how to use this platform. Okay, we'll save the screen share. Oops. Yeah, we'll save the screen share. I'm just looking at Google Trends though, and this keyword, it was on February 4th, clearly with what happened, has like totally spiked. What are you using? I know Google has a free keyword planner to see Google searches. What are you using to identify demand for Amazon products? Are you using merchant words or something else?
Yeah, I mean, so I use I'll use Scope. I use merchant words, a very cheap one, but I use those loosely.
Okay.
I really base my decision on Amazon's sales history. So that's using Keepa. And then, 80% of my decision is based on the bestseller rank and what the average has been the previous 6 months.
Okay. Mostly on the BSR and the average of that of the last 6 months. Okay, cool. Okay, I was just curious, man. You base a lot of this off the rank. The BSR, it seems like, is a big driver for a lot of this. Obviously, the price of the product and different things, but
absolutely, I trust it, and what I love about that too is Keepa's free, and I think Keepa has some of the best data out of any third-party software out there. And again, what you really want to validate is that Amazon shoppers are typing those keywords that you're going for in the Amazon catalog. I can't emphasize that enough. Like, you really need to understand that you are really fighting for keywords. And so, you're not, a lot of people are searching for products, and what they need to be searching for are keywords. So I'll give you another example about that. There's a veteran RA OA seller that I know, really close friends with, and he wanted to do private label. And he does over $2 million a year doing OA and RA. Very frustrated process. And it came down to he was spending too much time trying to find products. And so, what I suggested to him is, look, I said, Randy, you got to be able to identify keywords and then backtrack that and find products. And so, one of the things that he did, he sold a Halloween product. And so he figured out what keyword he wanted to go for around Halloween, and then he backtracked that and he found his product. So, just make sure you always have that in mind, because too, when you bring your product to Amazon, you're going to launch your product, and that's the key. You're going to try to rank for that keyword. So you need to know how competitive, right, that keyword is going to be. I know I'm probably beating a dead horse there, but yeah, I just want to get that out there.
Well, you're starting with, you made it very clear when we started this conversation, it starts with demand. So you're not thinking of, and this is good wisdom, because a lot of sellers are trying to like reinvent the wheel and invent, like they're trying to be an inventor. And like, you're not an inventor. You find demand, and then you're doing arbitrage from demand on Amazon and matching that with a quality product. And I think once you learn this skill, I mean, a lot of people look at it and say, oh, there's a ton of competition. There's competition because there's money being made. And if there's a lot of people selling stuff, a lot of people are looking for like that magic unicorn niche where there's like no competitors. It's got a 2,000 rank in home and kitchen, and kitchen. And people are just looking about it wrong. So you're starting with demand. You're starting with keywords. You're using Keepa. So that was a question that came up live of what are some of the metrics you're using when you're searching. So obviously it differs by category, but low rank. What are some of those core metrics?
Yep. So basically, what I like to do is stay under 20,000 rank, and you can apply this to most categories. Like if you find a decent selling product that has limited competition, but has had a BSR under 20,000 the previous 6 months, that's a good potential product. It may not be a home run product, but it's going to definitely be a single. It's definitely going to be a double, maybe a triple. So kind of, keep that in your head. If it's under 20,000 rank, almost in any category. Now, there's a few categories where that doesn't necessarily apply for, but I'm going to say like 80% of the categories, if you're selling a product and it's under 20,000 rank, you're going to have a decent sales velocity. So, that's kind of one of the things that I would point out.
Okay. So low rank, any other like big important metrics, just things you're looking for?
We talked about the reviews. You don't want to, the number one way new sellers get wrecked is by picking saturated products again. So you don't want to pick a product where that first page comes back and there's like 500 reviews on every single listing on that first page. Okay. So if it's like that, you want to run away from that.
Okay, cool. Low rank, lesser competitive. You don't want to start out of the gate trying to, compete with a major brand. I learned inside of your course, you guys talk about, is there a household name? So like if you look at tissues and Kleenex comes to mind, are you guys just totally staying away from all stuff like that? You're not trying to compete with Johnson & Johnson or stuff like that, right? You're trying to find niches.
Yeah. So, like I think Liron may even use the example like diapers. If someone is searching for diapers on Amazon, most of the time they're going to be looking for Pampers, or Huggies. Those are kind of like name, brand driven products. Yeah. So you kind of have to be careful. Again, looking for those keywords, you want to punch those in and see what comes up.
Okay, cool. Hey man, let me shift gears. We're going to shake this up since this is live, and I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. There's a hunger in our group, Andy, for private label and really for freedom at the core of this. It's not like, I don't think any of us are here today because we want to know how to sell a bunch of kid socks on the internet. We want the freedom, the lifestyle. Just out of curiosity, is your wife still working? And I haven't asked about that part of your story.
Yeah, so that's the funny part. You remember when we transitioned, we definitely prayed about it. We felt like God was leading us. So she got her full-time job, and she actually worked there for 2 years full-time, and then she actually just resigned. I guess it was in May of 2016. So now she works with me. So okay. So yeah, that was a blessing. She was able to quit her job, and she, saw kind of the window closing. My son is in 7th grade. My daughter is a junior in high school. So she wanted to be able to be home and, work with them and spend as much time with them before they, leave the nest.
That's a blessing, man. That's why we do what we do, man. It's for the family. So that's awesome that you guys have been blessed to do that. And now you've been blessed for so many other people that you're helping on this journal. So let me just shift gears, because this question came up from 2 different people in the group here. It's kind of a high level strategy question. And I think it's relevant to ask, especially as people are creating new accounts. Let me pull up here. Nathan, he already chimed in here. Grant was basically asking, should we have a separate Amazon account for each major brand that we develop? Or would you suggest having like an umbrella corporation that has like, how does that work with the corporation, the brands, and the Amazon accounts?
Yeah, so you absolutely do not need a second account. Okay. I have 2 accounts. The second one's approved by Amazon. The second account, though, is kind of a pain in the butt. It's just more to manage. Amazon shoppers, they're really just shopping by product. And right. So, they don't really care what else your store sells. Right. And so you only need one account, and you can do everything through there.
Okay. So one account, and then can you separate out brands? Like if I want to do a baby brand and I want to do a automotive brand, would you just have two separate brands under one account then basically?
Yep. So, you can, in order to get approved for Amazon Brand Registry 2.0, you have to get a trademark for your brand name. Okay. It's not very hard to do. It does take time. It takes 7 or 8 months, and I think it costs like around $400 or $500. But yeah, you can have that brand on your account, and then you can have an auto brand, same thing, on your account that you get your own trademark for as well.
Okay. So brand, I want to talk very briefly about because this is a hot topic in our community, like all the brand restrictions and gating problems that come with RAOA. When you trademark your brand and you're the creator of the product and you get brand registry, does that mean that you have them permission to own that exclusive listing, or what does brand registry mean for you?
So, yeah, a couple of things. So my product that I have been selling for 4 months, I do have that is a gated product. That's a gated listing. So it's in the baby category. And I think that for folks that were in brand registry back then, and this happened about 1.5 years ago, Amazon may have went through the baby category. And if you have brand registry, they gated it. Okay. That's not necessarily the case, though, if you have other products. But for the most part, like my other brands that I have, my other private label products, I'll have occasionally like a Chinese seller or a drop shipper will hop on my listing. PL sellers, they call them hijackers. Okay. But every time that happens, I've been able to bump them off within 24 hours. So that's really not an issue. But what Brand Registry 2.0 allows you to do, you can create enhanced brand content, which means like in your description of your listing, you can put photos there. You just make it look a lot more professional. And then it gives you a little more control over the changing and the creation of content on your listing. Okay. But yeah, like having other people jump on your listing, it's not an issue.
Okay, cool. So it puts you, a lot of these challenges that RAOE people are facing, it puts you in the driver's seat with that stuff, and you are driving the brand. And we could talk for days on all the benefits of it, but you get on the other side of the coin. You're playing on the other side of the field.
That's why I love it. So I just did a wholesale deal, which went against my previous. Because I've been burnt on wholesale deals before, group wholesale deals, right? But this one looked really good. So I did $50,000, right? That was the buy for this wholesale product. Got it into Amazon. And at the time when I made the purchase, right, it was like 3 months ago, the profit margin on this product was like $50 per unit, right? So, but 3 months later, finally get it to Amazon. Guess what the profit margin now is? Profit margin now is on this $1. Now I'm just praying, right, that I break even on this stupid wholesale product. And I swore to myself, I will never do another wholesale group buy again. Now, I know a lot of people do good with wholesale, but it's not been my experience, right? That's why I love private label, because I know what I'm getting into, and I know that I control the price, right? I'm not going to have 50 other sellers jump on the listing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It just puts you in the driver's seat with this stuff. And this is one of the reasons, I mean, my belief's been cemented, that this is just the future of our space, man. It's not that I don't think RA and OA is going away. I think there's a place for it. I think it's all the top sellers I've talked to all spent that 18 months to 2 years to 3 years doing that. A lot of them still do that. I talked to a guy that was selling $1 million plus a year, and he just was adding, one new strategy per year, adding, a couple of, it doesn't have to be, I've learned this from you too, Andy. I don't think, that you mentioned that first product that you listed is now your second best seller. So you just never, that's, you guys watching this interview, that's why I get fired up about this, because you're one product away from like changing your whole life, and you've just got to learn. I think the fear of, do I pick the right product? How do you, we can get into kind of the spiritual side of it, but how do you break through that fear when you don't have that confidence? I think education and mentors certainly aid with the confidence. That's why I bought your course, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. That's why we're hosting Alpha and doing the masterminds that we do, because when you are learning something with a group of people, I have found that to be the most effective way to learn something. But how have you, besides education, man, any things that you've noticed that have helped in kind of getting that confidence of picking products?
Yeah. So I think one of the most important things that we do with our course is we give the members an opportunity to send us their potential products. So we evaluate them. And again, like that's the biggest fear, right? Is what you just said, is when you pick a product. So by them being able to send us their product, and we have like a tool that we've set up where, they have to fill it out. And we can tell them right away, like there's some products where, we've seen probably 5 or 6 times. And again, they're just products for some reason that jump out, but they're way too saturated. And so we're able then to email the client, say, hey, look, this product is way too saturated. You don't want to do this. And these are the reasons why. So that is a huge piece, I think. If I would have had that, and I probably used that more in a more informal way when I was actually picking my products, by talking to other veteran sellers, I would kind of run ideas by them. So, that's a huge piece that's going to help you overcome that fear, because it is still like, even me, right? I still get fearful picking products. Now I have a lot more confidence, but it's still, there's a little bit of a fear factor when you're bringing something into Amazon that you've never brought before. You are a little worried, and especially if you're a newer seller, and I can remember those days when I was doing OA and RA, I had 100% confidence because I could see the metrics, but when I was bringing my products that were never in Amazon before, I always had that fear, man, is this going to be found in search? Our customers going to buy this? So, that's a big one. If you have veteran sellers that are friends, if you have some that do PL, run your ideas by them. I know the members of our course, they've said that that's one of the most viable things that we're able to provide for them, is evaluate their potential product.
Yeah, it's really cool what you guys have set up, man. That's why I wanted to invite you out. I think you guys are doing some really revolutionary things in the private label space, and this is one of them. So we could talk very briefly. We're getting close to the top of the hour, so I'm going to put your questions for Andy below. I want to make sure we can maximize this time together. And then moving forward, we're going to have a bunch more resources on private label that we'll be sharing with the group over the next really couple weeks. And then we're going to have Andy and his partner back in 2 weeks for a part 2. We'll talk more of the details of this. But really, you mentioned your course, man. I've gone through, I bought Amazing Freedom and have been going through that. And Craig's gone through it. It's kind of the curriculum that we've been using for Alpha. Everybody in Alpha has it. And we've got we'll be talking about that with TAP and some of the different groups. But you've really laid out kind of a step-by-step process. And then one of the bonuses that you guys have put together is you get a free trial for several months in your inner circle, is what you guys call it, which is the review service that you just mentioned. And I got to tell you, I think, and we can talk about that more. This course is closed. You guys can't buy it. So this isn't like a pitch today to buy Andy's course. In fact, it's not even open. You can't even get it. We do have a special arrangement with Andy and his team to get you guys access to the training, and we'll talk about that. But your deal review service is pretty cool, man. Letting people, and the value that you guys provide for doing that is way beyond what you guys are charging to do that review service. That could be a ton more. But yeah, man, you've helped a lot of people with the course. Do you want to talk real briefly about Amazing Freedom, just what it is? And I know we'll be sharing more about that coming up here, but just briefly, what you guys put together.
Yeah, so, I tell people all the time, the real value in the course is, I have a partner, he's my nephew, his name is Nathan Slammons, and then another partner, his name is Leron Hirschkorn, both very successful private label sellers. Leron is in a different league. And so, if anybody in your group have filed, or I'm sure they're in the various Facebook groups, you may have seen Leron provide some answers to questions that people ask. He really is what I call an outlier. And I'm not just saying that because he's my partner. Actually, he took my course like 3 years ago. And I just, was attracted to him right away. And Nathan and I kind of started when we started Amazing Freedom. And we approached Leron and we said, hey, look, because he's like a Michael Jordan is what I'll compare him to. We said, hey, look, Leron, we'll give you a third of everything, that we do if you want to think about joining us. And he did. He is just on a different level. And so he has actually given me a tremendous amount of confidence. The more time I'm able to spend with Leron, the more confidence I am in understanding how to make my own current private label products better, and the more confidence I get in finding private label products. So, I understand, like, I'm kind of building him up here, but I go to probably 10 to 12 Amazon conferences a year, and I've never met anybody that is as brilliant and that can execute like this guy can. And so, his execution is amazing. And the reason why I'm saying all this is in our Facebook group, people will ask questions, and he's pretty much glued to his phone 24/7, and he'll usually answer their questions within like 2 or 3 minutes. Now, Nathan and I will answer them as well, but Liron is just able to answer those questions. So that, I think, is a huge value. If Craig is still watching, Craig's in our group, he can probably testify to that. And so being able to have someone like that just kind of gives you a huge amount of confidence. And I'm not sure how I got off on that tangent, but that's true.
No, it's cool what you guys have put together, man. I mean, you guys, that's why I wanted to invite you and kind of introduce you to our community, because you guys get my full endorsement. You're a part of the good guys. There's a lot of riffraff in our industry, but you guys are doing some good stuff. It's valuable for people. And I want our members to thrive, man. That's like the core of why we do everything in our group, is to help people get freedom so they can retire, come home from corporate America, be with their families, and do work they love. And I believe that private label is part of that. So that's part of why we asked you to come out. We had a tremendous response when we introduced private label with our Alpha program. And we had a lot of people in our group who want to learn private label but weren't able to get into Alpha for this round. We'll have other opportunities in the future for mentoring groups and masterminds, because that model works. It's worked like crazy before, and it'll keep working. And in the meantime, we wanted to get you guys in touch with some resources. And Craig put Liron almost knows everything about private label. So that's a testimony. And we may, there's a rumor we may or may not be able to get Liron to come speak with us live in a couple weeks. We'll save that TBD. But there's a community you guys have put together. So lots of good stuff, man. If you guys have specific questions, Andy, I didn't want to get into too much of the details of picking products. I love that you guys have kept things simple in your business model, and you just keep focused on the main thing. I was, talking with you in pre-show, asking you what you're excited about, and you were telling me about the product that you had just partnered up on and are just launching. Are you continuing to kind of stay in this brand that you're building, or do you launch products in different spaces, or without asking too much detail?
So I have a number of products in a number of different categories. I don't fall in love with any of my products, although this one I am in love with because I think it has potential to go into retail eventually. But I fall more in love with opportunities and keywords, and then lack of availability on Amazon.
Okay. So it's more, you're opportunity driven. You're not tied to your brand. If you see an opportunity for purple pencil packs, you'll source them, it sounds like.
Yep, absolutely. Now, at the same time, I do have 2 core brands that I continue to build out, and I'll continue to work on those. But if an opportunity comes up, then I'm going to do it. And we were talking earlier pre-show as well that one of the things that's helped me tremendously over the last year and a half is partnerships. And so I've partnered with a number of people. It limits your risk. They're able to see things that you're not able to see. And there's just a synergy there that I'm really enjoying. And so, I'm almost getting to the point now where, like, I don't want to bring a product to market by myself. I want to do it with somebody else. It's just, for me, it's just more enjoyable, maybe because I'm a people person, or I like the interaction, or I like the accountability. You talked about your mentoring group. That is huge. And that's kind of like what Liron is for me, right? He's almost like a mentor. That works, right? And it's going to limit your risk, and it's really going to help you fail less. If you have someone that's a little higher, been there a little more. So that's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, man. I agree. I mean, that's really one of the secrets to success. And I had a mentor share this one time, is you always want to have one hand reaching up to a mentor and one hand reaching down to help your fellow man. And when you do that, we form a chain of a sense, and you get what you give. That's part of why we run masterminds and mentoring groups, because it blesses us as much as we get to bless other people, and everybody wins. And that's why I wanted to invite you to come out and form a partnership with you guys, because it's a win-win as well. I don't want to reinvent the wheel with what you guys are creating in private label, and we've got plans to grow grow and expand our community across the US, and we've got members in the UK now and different countries that are finding us, which is really cool. But good stuff, man. Well, there's more to come, guys. I didn't want to, Andy, I could sit here. I mean, I could go a whole nother round, dude. I got a whole nother set of questions for you, brother. I could do round 2 right now. But I'd like to respect your time, man. We carved out an hour to connect. And if you guys are live, if you have any last minute questions for Andy, post them below. We're going to be releasing the details. If you guys are interested in Andy's course and getting the education that we're talking about, we'll have details in the group on the next week or so coming up about that. We'll talk about all the details of that. But for today, I just wanted you guys to meet Andy formally. He's an awesome guy. You're doing some really cool things. And I appreciate you being willing to share with us, man. Let me see if we had, there was one, what's up, Ralph Cochran? One more good question that just came up, Andy. Ralph says he loves this. Ralph, appreciate you, man. Ralph's one of the good guys too. I always brag about you, Ralph, and what you're doing with your kids. Quick last question, Andy. There's a question from Joe, and she said she saw that you have a warehouse now. And what was the idea behind that? And I know you're kind of playing the game at a higher level. So did you start with the warehouse, or did you start with? I always ask that question because people say, "Oh crap, I don't want to go get a warehouse." So where did you start, and what are y'all doing now?
Yeah, so I never wanted to get a warehouse. It was never really in the plans because I love, Amazon FBA, and I was using third-party warehouses. You absolutely do not need to get a warehouse. Liran doesn't have a warehouse, but he uses a third-party warehouse, and he actually stores his products there. It's about half price storing products at a third-party warehouse.
Versus Amazon, you mean?
Yeah, versus Amazon. Yeah. But you really don't need to do that till you get to a certain level, And so for me, being able to store my products now at the warehouse that became available is going to be able to save me at the end of the day a lot more money. And it basically, my goal is I want to have like 4 to 6 months of inventory on hand at all times in my warehouse. And then I just drip feed Amazon. So I'm spending a lot less money in Amazon storage fees. And at the end of the day, I save a lot of money. But you don't need a warehouse. Again, like Liran has a great one that he uses in California that's very reasonable. So.
Okay. So you started off, when you say a third-party warehouse, was this a prep center or like a third party that you sublet from someone?
Nope, it was a prep center. So prep and pack company that would, keep some of my products, store them by the pallet, and then send them in, as needed. That's the best way to go. Okay. If you can, again, like my warehouse, the opportunity came up. It was like too good to pass up. The square footage, was so cheap that there was no way that I could turn it down.
Okay. So the reason I ask, I'm kind of casting a next level vision because there's always another level to what you're doing. And I want people to see what's possible for them, because you started off humbly just doing this yourself, and you've grown into this over the past really 5 years, and you put the time in. So there's, I don't want you guys watching to like think that you have to skip through that, but you started with the prep center. So just using a pack and prep to have your products from China delivered to the prep center, and then they would package them and send them to Amazon. So same thing you guys are doing with RA and OA, just with private label, but then you've since opened up a warehouse for different reasons. I listened on your podcast the other day that you like to hold that 4 to 6 months of inventory. And so you're managing cash flow and inventory at a different level, but good stuff, man. Hey, Andy, in the sake of time, I'm going to wrap this up if you guys are watching live, but I want to see if you have just a couple minutes for a bonus round. There was a special request for a story from Ralph Cochran. I want to see if you got just a couple minutes, man, for a bonus round.
Sure. Yeah, I can.
Well, we're going to keep this tight, guys, but I've noticed when we do these interviews, and I may start like ending the interview and then doing like a behind whatever Andy and I talk about next is always like really good stuff. So and maybe this when you do interviews, Andy, but there was a request for a story about, he said, Andy, tell him the story of perseverance about your son. He said the group needs to hear this story. Okay,
sure. So at the beginning, of this webinar, we talked about the two things really that, you need to have. The one is just the hustle and kind of the work ethic, what I call the Amish way. So I live in central Pennsylvania, actually where Ralph lives in Lancaster, is a big Amish community. And man, when you drive by some of their farms, It's crazy. They'll be on these horse-drawn carriages plowing their fields, right? Early in the morning till late at night. Or I've seen them hoeing like 10 acres, right? By hand, the whole family, each with a hoe, but it's like 10 acres, right? And so just an incredible work ethic, that you need, as well as like in all businesses, you got to have perseverance or grit when those bumps or when those hurdles are going to come, and you can expect it, right? They're going to come. And so, the story I share with my son, and that's probably my favorite role. The favorite role I enjoy playing right now is a parent. I enjoy, speaking at Amazon events, and I enjoy selling, products, but there's no better role to me than being a parent. And so my son loves football. I'm not sure why. I didn't play football. I'm a little concerned because of all the negative press, right, with the head injuries and things, but his love language is physical touch. I don't know if anyone in your group has ever read, I think it's Gary Small. He has like the 5 love languages, right, in the book. Yep. But one of those love languages is physical touch. So my wife is the same way. Her love language is physical touch. So she likes it when I initiate holding her hand, while we're walking. And my son is the same way. And I think that's probably why he loves football. So like at age 6, he wanted to play tackle football. And so got him on the team. Unfortunately, in Hershey, the tackle football team for his generation is not very good. So, the first year they didn't win a single game. Well, he came back the second year. Second year, they didn't win a single game. Came back the third year, they didn't win a single game. So during the middle of the season of the third year, he started having other players on his team quit to go play lacrosse. Because they were tired of losing. And after every game that we would get blown out by, AJ would come back to the car and he would be bawling. And he would say that I'm going to quit. I want to quit. And so I would always ask him, I'd say, AJ, are you sure that's what you want to do? I say, do you like football? Do you play because you like it? And he would say, I like it. So I'd say, well, if that's the case, let's give it a little time. Well, when Sunday night would roll around, I would ask him again, and he would always be like, no, I want to go to practice tomorrow. And so it's a crazy program. Like they practice 4 days a week, right, at that young of an age. Well, he finished that season again, same thing, not a single win. Well, the fourth season rolls around. The first 2 games come by, same thing. They get blown out, right? Kids are crying, the team, like the guys are kind of fighting with each other. And it's really just kind of a trying time. And as a parent, right, you never want to see your kid fail. I heard somebody say one time that as a parent, you're only as happy as your saddest child. And so, there's a little bit of grieving that happens, that goes on, right, as you raise your kids and as you see them experience difficulty. But he wanted to stay with it. So then we come to the third game. Now, remember, this is 4 seasons of losing. We're in our third game, and this team scores the first touchdown. They score second touchdown. At halftime, we're up like 30-0. Because we lost every other game, though, there's no confidence there, right? But we go into the third quarter. They keep scoring. We're going to the fourth quarter, and we're up like 40-0. The game finally –
You're winning? You're winning?
Yeah, we're winning. We're winning. Yeah, for the first time ever after 4 years. So we're up 40-0. At the end of the game, we win. And all the guys, they do this thing. It's called dabbing. Yeah. They're all excited. Yeah. They're, some of them are crying because they've never experienced a win before. And for me, that was probably one of my proudest moments as a parent, because it signified to me that my kid is going to be okay in life. Right. Because, there's no doubt. And, talking about our faith, being a disciple of Christ, look, it's not an easy road, right? And that's very clear in all the words of Jesus. And just in life, general, life is hard. You are going to experience setbacks. You're going to experience potholes and bumps. And so, the way that you're able to overcome that is if you have a confidence, obviously, for us as faith-based people, we say, put that confidence in Jesus. Look, God has you in his hand and he's going to take care of you. But being able to see him experience that type of hardship and then experience a win on top of that, I know that he's going to be okay in life. There's no doubt he's going to experience those kind of hardships in life. So I say that because the same thing happens in business, right? And the same thing happens in private label. It's really going to be the grit and perseverance that's going to push you to success. So that's the story Ralph's talking about.
Oh, man. Amen, dude. Thank you, Ralph, for requesting that. And thank you, Andy, for sharing that, man. That's the truth, man. The grit, dude. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about. Everyone's looking for the secret sauce. And I see this in every industry, man. It's like people want to know the shortcut, right? What's the easy button? And the truth is, in life, there really isn't an easy button. It's just like, a lot of you guys see this group. A lot of you guys don't know that 10 years ago or 12 years ago, when I first got into home business, I was a struggling, poor college student making cold calls out of my bedroom because my office was in my bedroom, and we all have that story, but you got to put the 10 years in. You got to put the time in to create success. And that's I forget who the great teacher was that talked about the 10,000 hour rule. And we've mentioned this in the group before too, but if you guys want success, you got to be willing to commit to putting the time in, the 10,000 hours to mastering the craft. And so that's a good word, Andy. Thank you for sharing that, man. Congratulations on your son. That's got to make you feel like a superhero as a dad. I mean, for him to learn that lesson, like you can. It doesn't matter what he's going to come. I mean, I've never heard a sports story with that much despair, man. I can't imagine what. You almost forget how to win. Your psychology gets so. Have you guys ever been? I don't know if you guys ever played sports, but you just get beat down. But the grit wins, man. Perseverance wins, and it does in all stories. So that's great, man. Well, dude, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for having me. I'm blessed by you, man, and looking forward to this partnership to develop and continue helping people learn this space, man. Any closing words, man? We've shared so much today. I want to give you kind of last chance here.
Yeah, no, I mean, just look, you guys are already doing Amazon. I say all that, but I still believe 100% it is the absolute best opportunity to generate wealth that we have available, basically at our fingertips. There is no better opportunity that we have. And, my tagline that I say often is the best time to start Amazon business was 15 years ago. The second best time is now. And that's because the opportunity is so great. It continues to be awesome.
Yeah, man. I fully agree with that, man. I've been in the home business space. I fully agree. This is the best place to be. So, hey guys, be on the lookout for some of the free resources we're going to be sharing with the group. If you're watching a replay, there'll be a link below this video to the resources. And when Andy's course comes out, these guys, it's closed right now. You can't get it, but we've got a special deal negotiated with these guys to get you guys a special top secret Amazon group backdoor access to the trainings. I don't want you guys to have to wait for 6 months when the course opens back up again to get your education and get around some people that are playing life at a higher level. That's how you learn, man. There's really no shortcut to that. So, well, Andy, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate LaRon and Nathan as well. I've become good friends. For a lot of you guys that don't know, Nathan used to do ungatings with our group like 3 years ago. A lot of you guys that are OGs in our group, you might remember working with him. And so they've got out some other cool products and services and resources that we'll be sharing, man. But anyways, dude, appreciate your time, guys. Be on the lookout next week for more goodies from the Slamazon brothers. And Andy, appreciate you making time, man. This was a lot of fun today.
All right. Thanks for having me, Gabe. Take care.
All right, guys. Mr. Andy Slamans in the building. Hey, how many of you guys liked Andy? Comment below if you guys like Andy, if you would like some more resources. I meant what I said. I've been going through their course and their training and the information they put out, and they've really laid their stuff out in a nice way. And I like to always be a product of any product or service I recommend to you guys. So that's going to be coming starting next week. We'll drop some videos in the group, some free resources, mainly on helping you guys to pick products. And I want starting from now until then, my grandpa taught me this quote that you want to measure twice and cut once. Okay, this is coming from my grandpa on my mom's side, who was an electrician for his life. So especially in private label, this is true. Measure twice, do your research. I like what Andy shared as an action item from today is to get off, pick a category in Amazon. Personally, I like the way that Viral Launch has set up their research products. So I will put a link below. We have a link for a free trial for Viral Launch. It's a great tool to start the research process. It's just sellersecrets.com/viral launch. I will put that below. And the tip that Andy shared of just going through Amazon and combing through the categories, doing a deep dive, spending 2 hours just going through the best sellers list on Amazon for different categories just to see what's selling and start your search there. And as an action item, I'll share with you, this is what we're doing in Alpha. Make a list. Okay. Here's the grit he was talking about. I was taking notes as he was talking about. Make a list of your top 20 product ideas, run them through Viral Launch, and then start combing through Amazon. So that's the homework assignment, your action item from today's broadcast. And if you guys like Andy and want some more stuff, I like to connect you guys with the movers and shakers of our industry, because I want to see you guys win. And I want to see everybody in our group successfully launching private label products this year and changing your life. I think a lot of people will be retiring people, and it's going to open up a whole new level of freedom for all of us. And I say that, me and Sarah included. This is we're embarking on this path for the same reason. So have an awesome day, guys. It looks like you guys are digging Andy. He's thebomb.com. Alexander, thanks, Gabe, for organizing the interview. My pleasure. Craig Soderdahl. Let me see here if I can post some of y'all's comments here. Craig Soderdahl, Andy is awesome, so inspiring. He does have an inspiring story, man. Jan Knapp, yes, he has such a positive attitude and a love for the people as a parent. I agree, Jan. That's why I feel very aligned with Andy and Nathan and Laurent and what they're doing, especially on a faith perspective. I just know, and I'll share this about Andy kind of off the record. You guys won't see this publicly, but at the core, he's got the same vision of sharing Jesus with people and the freedom that comes in walking with Christ. And I love that that's at the core of his mission. So very, very cool. Let me see here. AndyIsTheBomb.com. Alexander, appreciate you setting it up. Cool, guys. Well, hey, y'all have an awesome day. Blessings to you wherever you are in the world. Take action on the private label. Start the research process. Learn the platform, right? And I like how he suggested to start with the keywords. So you guys have an awesome day. We'll see you soon, guys.